This is Moments of Truth with Andrew Marks, co-founder of Success Hacker. Today I have with me Brian LaFaille, Global Head of Customer Success Strategic Programs at Looker. Brian, tell us a bit about your company and what you're responsible for in your role.
Thanks, Andrew. So I've been in post-sales kind of customer success, account management support roles for probably about the last 10 to 12 years. Coming out of college, immediately got into the support world, moved into account management, and then kind of morphed that role into customer success. And over a couple of startups, I wound up at Looker. I actually was the very first CS hire at Looker going back to early 2014. So in the span of time from 2014 until today, grew the team to be about 30 CSMs globally, spanning kind of our scaled department and then our named CSM division. And in that period of time, we grew the customer base from, when I came on board in 2014, there were probably about 50 customers that were paying annually, and that number sits around 2,000 today. And most recently, we were just acquired by Google. So it's a very exciting time for growth for us. Just a little bit about Looker. Looker is a data analytics platform, right? We try to take and make sense of all of the different data sources that companies look at today in all of their SaaS platforms. Companies are tending to aggregate all that information into some sort of centralized data warehouse. And when they do that, they're trying to get some sort of analytics value from that. They're trying to understand and run reports, build dashboards against that massive data set. Looker empowers those front level employees to get all that information from their data sets. And most recently, I moved into a new role that's really exciting for me, which is head of strategic programs. So after building and growing the CSM team globally, I'm now focusing on what are the broader strategic initiatives that extend beyond customer success to help us understand our customer base, reduce churn, increase expansion opportunities. And really, I get to be the CSM for CSMs. So that's the way that I like to think of it, is I get to run all of the big programs that help of our CSMs have the most impact with Looker customers.
Great. Sounds like an exciting time for you in this new role, and an exciting time for Looker. I appreciate you making some time for me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Brian, unlike the old on-prem software model, in the SaaS economy, we now have ready access to data, a tremendous asset for everyone from the vendor to the customer. How can we leverage analytics and data to empower a CS team?
Andrew, it's something that we're seeing pretty consistently across our entire customer base. Now, mind you, our customers span everywhere from small SMB startups all the way up to conglomerates like Walmart. The number of actual SaaS applications on average that enterprises are using these days is numbering in the triple digits. And in some cases, in the larger organizations, Walmarts, et cetera, that number is actually spanning up in the thousands. It's really wild. I mean, if you think about the number of applications that employees are using on a consistent basis, the number is actually growing exponentially. And what I've found is that with all of that accumulation of data comes the need for our CS team to actually understand and interpret the behavior of the users and the customers to make informed decisions of how they interact in the field. And with that amount of information that's continuing to grow, the importance of actually trying to wrangle that information and starting small and kind of growing your analytics maturity over time is very important. At Looker, we started with just trying to understand, and we made a lot of assumptions, but we just tried to understand how our customers were using the product, how they were, what their kind of health payment or fitness, the finance payment score was of how much they're paying their bills, things like that. And we put it into a spreadsheet. It was very super simple. And I'm sure you'll see if you actually talk to other customer success professionals out there, there are a lot of templates that you can look at for kind of health scoring templates in a spreadsheet format. But starting just small like that and trying to make sense of what are the key data points that you should be looking at and starting to experiment with data and trying to make sense and wrangle all these data sources that has been critical for our success and our growth. And I think it's been a stepping stone to allow us to really make informed decisions out in the field.
So you want to start with something. You want to start with, you want to try a few things, but ultimately it's going to evolve over time as you better understand your business and your customers and your customer base expands.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we started with a small spreadsheet. We entered in data manually. That was actually collected qualitatively. When we actually had interviews with customers, we came back and we entered that information in. Over time, though, of course, you can add automation to any of these processes. And so one of the things that I actually liked hearing, God, I was early in my career and somebody told me, Brian, do the things that don't scale. Go get on a plane, go visit your customers, get all the information in, collect it manually if you have to. And as a quick side note or story here, in coming into Looker, it was actually funny. Those 50 accounts that initially had purchased Looker, they were coming up for their renewal. Our CEO at the time, Lloyd Tabb, came to me and was like, Brian, you're going to be our first CS hire. We haven't talked to these people in a year. Please get on a plane with our VP of product and go talk to them. Go understand what they're going through. What are their pain points? What are their motivations? What are their fears? What is the value they're receiving from the product? Was that scalable? Absolutely not. But I got on the plane with our VP of product and we went out and talked to every one of those 50 clients. And that actually laid the foundation for a lot of the decisions that we made for the remaining like 12 to 18 months after that week-long blitz of meetings. And so I think that if you can go out and collect that information to start, that's a great starting point. All of the things that you're collecting repeatedly, hey, what's the sentiment of the product? That's something that can be automated with NPS surveys. Every time you have a support interaction, send a CSAT survey. But there are lots of different ways you can start to automate and collect information, but starting small and manual was how we got off the ground. And it allowed us to really understand our initial cohort batch of customers. And then over time, we grew maturity into that and started to get a lot of that data collection more automated.
Now, how do you take that data that you've collected and make it actionable though for your CS team?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you asked this because it's something that I'm really passionate about, which is coaching of employees, coaching of customer success managers, and empowering people. When I actually started to collect all of this information, we were able to aggregate all of these data sources again into a single warehouse. And this is coming from places like Zendesk, where we have our support interactions, Salesforce, where we have our kind of sales accounts opportunities, it's our CRM. Our product information, which we actually collect with an in-house event collection system, NetSuite for our billing system. So we started to gather all this information together, right? Once we had that, we started to build a couple of dashboards to, again, empower our CSMs. I am of the mindset, and this might be a contentious topic among CS professionals, but I'm of the mindset personally that empowering people and providing people the right data and the right training to make the best and most informed decision is the approach that I want to take with my CSMs and with our customers. I don't think it's the right approach necessarily to have a very hyper-focused, spelled out, prescriptive step-by-step playbook that you can just give to any entry-level employee. We have to tell ourselves, customer success manager it is an elevated position. You have the kind of high-level task of working with the coveted asset of the business, which are customers. And this is a high profile role. We should hire people in that have a high level of business awareness. They understand how to take and interpret data and then take action on that. And so after we were able to, like I said, aggregate all that information, we built dashboards for our CSMs to understand things like how their portfolio is doing relative to payment health or usage health, or sentiment health, things like that. And then we got all the way down to like the customer level. If I wanted to zoom into that one specific customer, I'm going to have all those different facets of data aggregated into one place that I as a CSM can go and understand where might my customer be going sideways. And as an example of that, one of the metrics that we track is time to value. So how can we understand they closed on a certain date, say January 1st, 2020, and we want to make sure we're minimizing the time to launch as much as possible. And so as a CSM, I might be able to go into this dashboard and understand and say, oh, wow, this customer is actually lagging behind our average time to value. I need to jump in and actually set up a standing Monday, Wednesday, Friday stand-up with this customer to ensure that we're getting this customer back on track. Now, I don't want to have to write a playbook that says, 1, 2, and 3 steps that need to be taken. I want to arm that CSM with the right skills to take that data analysis, understand and interpret that dashboard. And then I ask them, hey, what steps should we be taking here? And it allows for more of that coaching. And so I think that that's one thing that has worked really, really well for us at Looker. But it's not going to work for everybody, right? We have a broad spectrum of customers. But I would say our average contract value on the minimum side is somewhere around $50,000, right? if you are onboarding customers that are maybe smaller in ARR, and you have a very kind of consolidated or all-in-one type of product, maybe there are a set of 3 or 5 prescriptive steps that need to be taken when you onboard a 1,000 MRR customer. Maybe that's the case. For us, that didn't work necessarily. And so we decided to take the approach of focusing on the training and enablement for skills and development of coaching of our CSMs, and then ensuring that our data integrity and quality was very, very high.
Well, if you feel that you need your process to be that prescriptive, then you got to question, well, is this really something I should be doing with a human, and could it be done in an automated fashion? Because if your process is so rigorous that you have to spell everything out in detail for your folks, you're either undervaluing the role, you're not hiring the right people, or you're not allowing them to grow career wise. If you're, you got to give them the opportunity to do some problem solving and decision making on their own. But you want to do that, to your point, by providing them with all of the data necessary for them to make a good decision.
Correct. Yeah, and it's something that we see with a lot of our customers, that they themselves are SaaS businesses and they want to understand their customers. And so they have customer success departments. And I speak to a lot of them about this topic, which is kind of data integrity, usage of data, empowering your employees with data. And I talk to a lot of customer success departments about this. And one of the things that I think that a lot of CS departments fall victim to is skipping the steps of maturity in their data and analytics journey. So instead of starting small, they want to jump into the flashy new thing, which is Einstein Analytics and the Customer 360 from Salesforce. And they want to be able to see, a predictive readout of all the customers that are going to churn 12 to 18 months from now. And I would argue against that. And the reason being is that you need to take that qualitative step that is highly manual and not scalable whatsoever, so that you yourself understand what is comprised of these broader metrics. If you have a metric that says, hey, we have a 99% confidence that this customer is going to churn in 12 months, do you know why? What metrics went into that decision? It's a black box. You've got this, Einstein 360 of AI that's doing all of these, amazing calculations behind the scenes, but can a CSM actually untangle what is going on in that calculation, understand why is that customer at risk? And I think that a lot of CS departments want to jump immediately to the flashy new thing. But let's not fool ourselves. There is value in taking the steps to understand the underlying schema, the underlying data source that powers these health scores, so that you know how to coach your CSMs. Hey, look, when I see that this customer is deficient on the financial payments section of this, metric, how might we handle that? How do we approach a customer qualitatively and go ask them about moving to, say, a credit card payment that might be more automated, or whatever that is? But I think that we need to, take that as a valuable step in the journey and not skip that. That's something that's been super valuable to us. And as we've talked to a lot of other customer success departments that are like, we don't want to skip immediately to the predictive stuff. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. There's a lot of value in understanding the descriptive step of analytics, which is just understanding your business. And I think there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, it's not just about the KPI. It's, how do we get to that point? How do we get to that data point? And more importantly, what can we do to influence it? Cool. All right, Brian, thank you. That was great. Data's been a big part of my life, part of my career. So I love talking about it and the effect it can have on customer success. So I appreciate you spending time with me today.
Absolutely, Andrew. It's been great. Thank you.